Fireball. And we're back.
We are back.
You missed the cue, man.
With a great, great song, Fireball.
Yeah. That's become our national anthem.
Yeah,
That is true.
Anyway.
Who brought the bottle?
Well,
we
it's
have
at the
several of
bin.
them at the bin.
At the bin.
Nothing like a rock star to have some fireball.
That's right.
That is true. Yeah, that's true. We got rock star Rick Raanes in the
Rick
house.
Raanes, welcome back.
Thanks.
You're officially a two-timer
Yeah,
now.
Danny and I both. Second time here, so looking forward to it.
Well, we love having you down here, and you always have a lot of things to talk about. And of course, you work the Woodlands area quite a bit.
Yeah, up north, a lot of good stuff going on.
What's
still.
happening in the Woodlands?
Well, a little bit of everything. We're seeing a lot of growth, some hospitals being built, so it's a lot of fun, a lot of little anxiety with a lot of, most of the people in the Woodlands are oil and gas guys, so you hear the anxiety issues from them. And but I mean, overall, I agree with you. It's a more balanced market, so when it gets to reality, people, have a little curiosity of what's going on.
Yeah, well, I remember we had a guest one time talked about his client actually called him and said, make it stop. It's like, when you throw a fresh cow into a river full of piranha.
Right.
That's how realtors were.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they were swarming. He said that they were blocking the neighbors' driveways. They were everywhere, and they were showing, so many times they were showing the home in the daytime. He said, make it stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much. Now
Where are they?
Now it's like, hey, the house has been on the market 2 hours. Where's my contract?
Yeah.
Or where's my 6 contracts? Right?
Yeah.
So you've seen a change in that market.
There's been a shift in the market, and the Woodlands is it's happening there as well. We're still seeing the initial first time buyer. They're still starting the process. It's you mentioned the 700,000 plus. That's kind of where we are today in the Woodlands. Those houses are really the challenge becomes creating the value. So you have to broadcast the value to that property and why it makes sense for a buyer to choose that property over the others. We're seeing an increased inventory, and so the buyers aren't forced to make a decision. Now they can sit back and really evaluate what's the best opportunity for them.
How do you best position a house like a $700,000 house in your market?
Well, I mean, it's not looking backwards in time and seeing what's sold. You really got to figure out, how your competition is. And what we encourage all of our sellers to do is also become a buyer for a short period of time and go preview the properties, because it's important that you have, location you really can't do anything about, but condition and price are so much more important today than they ever have been. So you've got to make sure that the house shows just absolutely meticulously, and you've got to show where the next buyer that's coming in is going to choose that property. Because you don't want to be the marketing home that's going to sell the house down the street. You want to sell yours. So then it becomes a chase. Who's going to continue to put their price at the right spot? So if you put your house on the market and it's priced at $705 and you've got several that are $725, then all of a sudden the next one comes in at $700. Then you don't want to get into that chase downward yet. That's what's
watch
what
that Trail of Tears on MLS, right?
Yeah,
yeah. And so even in the hot market, it's always good to position your house with pricing it correctly. Always has been that way. I don't care what kind of market you're in. That will get the most number of people through that house, because that's what you want. Is how many get enough people through the house that one buyer. There's a dog for every dog house.
Well, absolutely. And what's really interesting is you have to be able to tell the seller has to hear this as well. And so the challenge is you're not seeing the negotiations where a seller will say, well, I want to leave room on the table. And that really is more of a difficult position to come from, because you're putting yourself at a negative impact versus saying, I want to create a price point that's going to create the attention. And especially in a more of a buyer's market, you really have to create the attention. So you don't have to. You can really preserve a lot of your home equity by pricing your home more effectively on the front end versus thinking I'm going to price it a little bit higher to save some room for negotiations. So it's a hard conversation to have.
It is a hard conversation to have, but I have seen it happen over and over again. If you aggressively price it and it's too high, then you ultimately again have that trail of tears going downwards, and you'll end up taking less for it than you would have gotten if you priced it right in the market in the first place.
A home properly priced on the market, you can never underprice a home properly priced on the market, if that makes sense. I mean, because it's one of those things where it's like if you have it priced appropriately, the attention it's going to get on the initial phase will create the opportunity for someone to either pay that particular price or create 2 or 3 particular, because there are multiple offer scenarios in the Woodlands. If a home is priced effectively, it will happen. And
what do you see? One of the things I was talking with an individual the other day. One of the thing that's going on right now with the Woodlands as well is you've got so much good development going around it now. You can go, 5 miles north and you've got Conroe. You go 5 miles south, you've got Spring. You go over to Magnolia. You've got all these different areas now that people are starting to look at to say, do I need to really get into this area, or can I go down a little bit price-wise and get into some great areas? How are you seeing that impact in the market?
Well, the Woodlands being built out, so it's not as dramatic of an impact of being right there, and with all the industries that's coming in there from all the hospitals and the Fortune 500 companies that are calling the Woodlands home. You don't have to live in the Woodlands to have a close commute. Originally it was, that you could live in the Woodlands and you had to use the Hardy Toll or I-45, and so that most of the residents didn't have the opportunity to also work in the Woodlands. So now with all of the industry there, the Woodlands is still a premium spot. However, it's not the highlight of highlight of Montgomery County and North Harris County, because there are some fantastic developers. Wood Forest, Grand Central Park's coming up with Johnson Development. That's going to be an awesome place to be. A lot of good stuff happening around, and you don't have to be inside the Woodlands. School systems are great. Montgomery's good. Magnolia's good. So there's a lot of great alternatives.
If we could just make 45 a little bit less congested.
Well, the thing is you don't even have to get on I-45 anymore. So I mean, it's like that. The Grand Parkway is going to be awesome too, because think about the commute from I-45 to 290 now is what, going to be 15 minutes. But before it was 30. So
is that like that trip from Pearland to downtown is 15 minutes?
Yes, it's
exactly.
like that 15 minutes. It truly, it's amazing though. I mean, right now I live off of 99, but out in the Katy area. So, I got to grab 99 all the way around to 290 right now, and then I take a back way up to the Woodlands. And once the tollway is finished up, it'll absolutely take about 15 to 18 minutes off my track to be able to get right up there. And I'm usually on the backside of the Woodlands over there in Sterling Ridge. Yeah. That is correct. So but it's amazing, and the one thing that the Woodlands I think is always really neat is all that riverway area, all the rivers and the food and the eateries. I mean, it is a lot of fun to go and hang out there. There's so much activity going on right there.
Yeah, the food is really turned some heads lately. So there's,
right.
Again, you think, well, I want to be able to enjoy some of the big events of Houston. Well, all that stuff is migrating north, and very rarely do you get downtown to enjoy it.
Right. I'm always up there at the concert area up there. I mean, Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion, most people don't realize it's one of the best venues for concerts. I mean, always they're bringing in
I think it's just
make sure
behind
you get
Red
under
Rocks.
the cover, because I remember I went to go see Sting on the hill, and it poured rain. So it was me and my poncho.
Yeah.
So
bring us your
get
sales
there
taxes.
early.
We love you. All of
you
Houston.
and your poncho, not you and poncho.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Exactly. So.
We're getting to be like Las Vegas up there in the Woodlands, because we don't have to tax ourselves anymore, because everybody comes from everywhere else and drops their sales tax on us. We're like, yum, yum, yum.
Yeah. It's
stay in our hotels, buy our stuff. We love it.
Yeah, another net incentive with the Woodlands is our own Tim O'Neill.
Because if you ain't living in the Woodlands, you're just camping out.
That's right. I like that. That's right.
Or so I heard.
Well, there's a lot more tents in the Woodlands now. I think because they've added I think they've tripled their hotel occupancy numbers over the last several years too.
Just opened a big Embassy Suites.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, they're also doing a lot of development up there still in business wise. I mean, the hospital system is being expanded beyond belief up there right now.
It's just the north version of the Houston Medical Center. So I mean, with Texas Children's coming in, Methodist is coming in. You've got St. Luke's. So you have 4 major hospitals all within a drive or 7 iron from each other.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
We're having a fire. One of them is going to open a fireball clinic for the overserved.
Yeah, and that's the fireball clinic is next to Escalante's.
Can you get insurance for that, Mr. O'Neill?
Chronically overserved.
Yeah, just go swimming in Lake Woodlands afterwards.
So we have a big picture of Tim out there.
Live and inappropriate.
Exactly. Anyway, but there is a lot of venues up in the Woodlands area, and I enjoy going up there. I feel like I've gone almost on vacation.
Oh yeah, I mean, just outside of the pavilion, you've also got Do-Si-Do, and there's so many other music places to go to capture some of the great, artists. Whether it's current, relevant of today's artists, all the way to you see some of the historical bands coming through the area too. So it's a lot of fun. You can always find something to do inside the Woodlands.
That's exactly right. We saw at Do-Si-Do right there on 45. We saw the Manhattan Transfer, which is a really big act, and some of them we followed for years. And we saw them in the smallest, most intimate venue you could imagine, to see an act that big.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just a great evening. So that
yeah,
you're right.
and the food's good too. So
really good acts that come in there.
Yep, beer's cold. Makes
beer's cold is always a good thing to have.
There's not really a bad seat in the house either.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
It's anyhow. We get the
the
victory sign right here. Right?
But, I want to circle back around something you were talking. We were talking about pricing your home right. So now we switch to the buyer side of things. How do you approach a buyer who's out there looking in the market right now?
Well, the buyers are actually just kind of looking because they're, we've got several buyers that are on hold right at the moment. They're looking at values and they're wondering at what point in time does it bottom out. Unless you've got the relocation guy coming in that says I'm starting work in a couple of weeks and I just want to be in a home. I need to be in a specific area. That guy's going to be more motivated to buy. The buyers that are fence liners, they're kind of looking at it going, well, oil price of a barrel is fluctuates between this price and this price. What is that still going to do to values? I looked to see what 2015 values were, and now we're about 8 to 10% less than that on an average.
Right.
So if what does it look like from the offer perspective? And so buyers aren't as aggressive with their offers on the front end today because they're trying to find motivations from the seller. Just how and it's not about how deep they can get into the pockets, but it's just that everybody wants the deal. Now it's more pronounced than ever before over the last probably 10 years.
You want to know how you find the bottom of a market? When it goes up.
Yeah, and truthfully, I think that the Woodlands is probably at that point because you're going to see a lot more of the hospital employees moving into the area. There's some other development that's coming in, so it's. I think we're at that point. I think we've seen the worst, and I think we're going to start seeing some price improvements over the next several months, especially with spring market coming.
Well, we have a lot more to still talk about. We have not finished up the show whatsoever. That is rock star Rick Raanes. However, we got to pay for the show somehow, so we're going to take a break right now. But stay tuned. We'll be right back.